Hi, my name is John Power. This is my wife, Liz. I'm originally from Chattanooga, Tennessee. My wife's a native South Carolinian. We met about 20 years ago, been married for 17 years. And in the time of our life together, we have seen the Lord write many surprises into our story. Among those surprises would include our children, whose ages are 14, 13, 11, 7, 4, and 2. That's 6 if you were counting. 5 boys and 1 girl, and the girl's the youngest, so that's fun. Lots of surprises, but one of those surprises also includes the fact that we're standing here right now. Although we are both committed Christians, we are actually not Catholic. Yet here we are, raving fans of a Catholic school. So we want to share with you a little bit about how we ended up where we are and just how we end up with our kids here and all of that. So in the process of doing that, though, I want to show you what I have here in my hand. See what that is? It's an acorn. If you're like me, you might have about 10 million of these in your yard right now. It's great. Acorns are small, unassuming, but given the right soil, they grow into towering oak trees. Our children are like this acorn. I've got 6 of them. But whether you have one or more than I have, we as their parents have the privilege and terrifying task of doing our best to put them in good soil. And so Liz and I want to tell you why we believe St. Joe's is really good soil.
So here's how we got here. We, like I'm sure many of you, had been praying about our children's educational path for years. And for several years, public schools worked for us, thankfully. But it was as the middle school years approached that we began to grow very concerned with the godless, secular worldview and culture that is unfortunately so prevalent in our public schools. So we tried homeschooling. Let's just say no one was happy about that. It was definitely not the right fit for our family. So when, praise God, a friend suggested that we look into St. Joe's, we were intrigued. Now, we would have dismissed this as an absolute impossibility had our friend not told us about St. Joseph's flexible tuition program. We never imagined that a private Christian education would be an option for our single income family of 8. But we took St. Joe's at their word, applied, and were astounded at the financial aid that they made available to our family. We've since learned that it was the vision of a woman named Margaret Ann Moon. I thank God for her a lot. She was one of the school's founders, and it was her vision that any student who wanted to be here should be able to be here. Well, the school has remained true to that vision, and by means of very generous financial aid, our 3 oldest boys are here, and they are thriving in this soil.
Now, what about the non-Catholics sending their kids to a Catholic school? Well, simply put, when it comes to the formation of our children, we have found that the beliefs that we share with our Catholic friends here far outweigh the beliefs that we don't share. And even in the beliefs that we don't share, that's actually led to some great discussion with our children as they ask questions about what we believe about Mary and et cetera, just things that might come up in the day-to-day. But it's really what we do share is what's important. So what is that? What do we share with our friends here at this Catholic school? Well, it's already been said, I think, but it's there in the mission statement of St. Joe's. To conform the hearts and minds of students into the likeness of Christ. Isn't that awesome? The answer is yes. I mean, that's right in line with what we're trying to do as parents, point our kids to Christ. It's right in line, in fact, with what Jesus himself said to Martha when he said, "One thing is necessary, knowing Christ." That's what we're all about, and what we have seen here at St. Joseph's is that's what they are all about. And that's why we believe this is good soil.
So there is definitely not time for us to adequately pitch St. Joe's to you. That would take hours. So we want to narrow in on one aspect of the school that we think is its crown jewel, its secret sauce. And that is the culture here. Culture is intangible, and it can be captured with statistics and, the promotional material on the website. So I want to quickly describe it for you. We think there are some key ingredients and nutrients in this soil that are responsible for this really special culture. So first and most importantly, it's the mission. It's more than mere words. From the top down, we have witnessed faculty and staff that truly want to form the hearts and minds of these students into the likeness of Christ. At the end of the day, the mission is what is creating the culture here. Next, St. Joseph's kindly yet firmly holds students to very high moral standards. And not only does this show students the wisdom of living God's way, but holding students to God's standards fosters the culture, a culture where students and teachers can thrive. Here's another nutrient. St. Joseph's is a place of opportunity. There are so many opportunities for our kids to explore their gifts, their interests, arts, athletics. Our sons, their first year here last year, participated in 3 sports that they had never played before and loved every minute of it. Another son learned to play an instrument he had never touched before 6th grade, and he learned to play an instrument. One more. This one was my favorite, and it gets me every time. St. Joseph's is a place where my sons are seen. It gets me every time. In Mr. Kaiser's column in the August newsletter to parents and students, he wrote this. He said, "Every child is a unique, unrepeatable, and a precious mystery made in the image and likeness of God." Father Duncan said the same thing earlier. Okay, so here is what grows from a place where teenagers are seen as precious, unrepeatable image bearers. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's hearing our sons greeted by name when they stumble out of the car in the morning by Mrs. J. It's teacher conferences where you walk away feeling like you have been heard and your child is better understood by their teacher, and you better understand your child. It's a coach coming alongside your child and seeking to encourage them in academics as well as athletics. It's phone calls from the administration about a discipline situation where you hang up knowing that they are truly seeking the good of your child in the midst of a messy situation. And I'm not making these up, by the way. It's a coach telling you that at the end of the day, he really only cares so much about what's happening on the field, but about the kind of man your son is becoming. So that's just a sampling of the culture of the soil that is being cultivated here.
You did it. But we're not done yet, hold on. If you need further proof of what raving fans we are of St. Joseph's, I'll just put it to you this way. About 3 months ago, we sold our house in Easley and moved over here to Malden, basically to be closer to St. Joseph's. And since if I took a poll, we would all agree moving is the worst, right? That shows a lot about how valuable it was to us. So as we conclude, we just have one last encouragement to you parents. As you are seeking discernment about the best path for education and more importantly for formation of your child, we would encourage you to do something you've probably already been doing, and that's pray. Maybe just as simple as, Lord, please help. I pray that prayer a lot. But especially if you find yourself maybe at odds with your child about where they should go to school. Because, as parents, we're the ones who are able to have the long view, whereas children tend to be caught up in, the next thing on TikTok, the next Apple product release. I mean, back to the acorn imagery. We have the perspective of what's needed over the long term for the acorn to thrive and become a towering oak. And so as you pray that the Lord would give you wisdom to direct your child in that way. They are acorns who don't know what the best soil is. But again, you may not be perfect, you may not be infallible, but I think you do have a much better sense in the long term what the good soil is. So there, my friends, is why we believe that St. Joseph's is really good soil.